Hello! In this tutorial today we'll be talking about joins, and more specifically we'll probably be working with the inner join. There's several types of joins. The inner join is probably going to be the most commonly used. So to get started, what we need to do here is we need to find two tables that we could potentially join together, or at least see how they work. So first let's go ahead and get a new query, and let's go ahead and do our simple select statement. Let's do a select star from, and let's just continue working with our person.address table, and then we're going to do a separate select statement. And then this time we're going to pull from this person.stateProvidence table so we can kind of compare the two tables, so we can kind of see what we can join on potentially. So when we're joining two tables, we need to find something that is similar, like the same, like two things that you can join on that are the same, that can kind of bring them together to kind of combine them. That's more so for an inner join, so which is what we're going to try to do. So I'm looking at this. I see the state providence ID, and I see a state providence ID. So we should probably be able to join these two tables using an inner join based on the state providence ID. So to do that, we're going to need to do this. Actually, let's go ahead and stick with our select star for the second, and then this will be a good example of why you can't use select star. So we're going to say select from here, and then I'm going to alias this. So alias just says that it's this, but with a shorthand name. So PA, for example, is going to equal person.address. So now I no longer have to type out person.address if I want to reference this particular table. And then I'm going to use the keyword inner join. And I want to join to this person.stateProvidence. And then we're going to give that an alias as well. So we're going to say PSP. And then we want to join on PSP dot, that state providence ID is going to equal our person dot address state providence ID. So these two should match up. So I'm going to go ahead and execute this. And then there's a tiny little problem here. And you'll see it. So we have a state providence ID here, and there should be another one, and there's one here. There's this row GUID, there's another row GUID. So some of these tables are the same, so we don't, or some of these columns are the same, so we don't know which ones are which. So what we need to do here is we need to specify. So you can't do select star. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take the column. So we're going to have all these column names. Now, these in particular are going to give us errors because it says, hey, those exist in both tables. So I want to put those up here. And then we're going to specify that we want the PA, or person address, specifically. So we need to say PA dot. So So we're telling it to get specifically from that table. So we're going to do that for all these, even though all these are not outlined in red. It's just good practice to specify which table you're wanting to pull the data from. So now it's only going to get our PA data or our person address data. Well, what happens if we still want some of the data from the person state providence ID or the person state providence table? So what we can do now is we can come over here. We can do the same thing basically we did up here. I'm going to drop this down. And I don't have these go in line. You can, it'll work. I have these come down like in a list-like fashion just because it's easier to read. So, and then again, I'm going to grab these that are similar, and I want them next to each other. And again, we still need to specify which ones are we talking about. So our alias here is PSP. So we need to tell it PSP. And what I'm doing here is I'm just simply copying and pasting. Okay, let's double check my work here to make sure this is all going to work. Don't see any mistakes except for right there. That should fix it. Alright, so now it's going to have these in separate. So let's go ahead and execute, and maybe it's going to be a little bit more clear, which it is. Now, there's still one problem here. As you can see, we have two rows named the same name. Two rows here still named the same thing. These two rows are still named the same thing. There's still no way to really identify or separate between the two. Since we've joined these two, we don't really know which one is which. I mean, we can look at our query statement here and we can kind of tear it apart and see, but it's still not very user-friendly to the eye. So what we can do here is, we're talking about our aliases. We can also rename our columns and kind of give them kind of like an alias as well. So what we can say here is something like this, but I want to use person address, or say person, and then we'll say this one is the state. And then we'll do the same here for this. And this, we'll just do like this. Well, I guess we can do state. It won't be so weird. Okay, so now we can kind of tell the difference between the ones that are, the same. So as we execute that, we can see this one's for our person, this one's for our state table, this one's for person table, and this one's for our state table. So now we can really do a good comparison here. And we really can see now how the data really matches up. And you can do this for all of your selected columns here, so you can differentiate between, you know, what is your person table and what is the state provenance table. So it's really convenient that you can do things like that. Alright, and that's pretty much all we have for inner joins. The next tutorial we'll talk about left joins, and then we'll maybe talk about right joins or outer joins.